Hey guys, overlanding with your dog and not sure you're prepared? Don't worry, we got you covered. This video, we're going to go over emergency contingencies. We're going to go over trip planning. We're going to go over gear. We're going to go over first aid. So we've got everything you need in one video. Hope you stick around. This is going to be a good one. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kevin. My Jeep's name is Waylon. And my brat dog over there, his name is Lincoln. And he's just chilling out today, so he may make a surprise appearance in the video. Anyway, I want to touch base in this video about canine preparedness, awareness, first aid, safety, and just overall going through some of the things that help me travel or hit the trails, camp, overland, whatever you want to call it, with a dog aboard. We forget that sometimes when we're miles away from any help, we're up in mountains, we're in back roads, backwoods, you name it, we have to become first responders sometimes, whether it's our friends that maybe get hurt or our pets. And I don't think a lot of YouTube channels really ever touch base on that. We see a lot about the destinations, we see a lot about the rigs, we see a lot about, gear, but I don't think we ever really get a feel for what it's like to be prepared, and some of the things that maybe will help you on the trail that helped me, that I had to learn along the way of having, a couple of very rambunctious Labradors. And I hope you learn something from this video that you can take away and maybe use on some of your future trips. So the first thing I want to do is get into trail preparedness. We always prepare for our trail by getting our food, our gas, our route all planned out. But do we really think 100% about our dogs and how they're going to be on the trail, things you might need? And I want to go up and beyond like the basics, which we know, water, food, etc., etc. I want to get into route planning, how important that is to actually, when you're planning your route, whether you're using Gaia or Onyx, to what I like to do is find a emergency veterinarian as well as an emergency room hospital somewhere along maybe midpoint on the trail, depending on how long it is. It could be one or two. If we're traveling to Moab, I always like to get pins along that route that we take, of knowing where to go in case of an emergency. Unfortunately, I had that happen with our trip to Moab last year, where Troubadour was very sick, and on the way home, it was a Sunday, and I had a really hard time finding a place for emergency care for him on the way home. So ended up not doing that, getting him home, getting him stabilized and in good shape, and then finally getting him into the vet as soon as possible. So this video is really going to be just about making sure that we don't, have those types of issues. But if you do, what are some of the things that will help you out? So I want to go over those things, but I'm going to put a video down here below, and I want to show you how I prep for planning those pins and those routes on my Onyx. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is open up my Google Maps, go to an area that I'm familiar with or along the route, and I search for a vet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click near that, and that'll pull up the GPS coordinates. I'm going to copy those. And I'm going to open up my Onyx, and I use a PC to do that. And I'm going to paste those coordinates in, search, and that pulls up the general area of that veterinarian clinic. I'm going to rename that to whatever I want: emergency clinic, vet, whatever. I always do red because that sticks out on my map as a, important. And then I'm going to go here and find the address and phone number from Google, and I'm going to just paste it into the notes. That way I don't have to open up a second app when I'm on my Onyx layer in my Jeep. So I can just push that pin and it'll bring up the address and the phone number for the facility. I'm going to click save. So that's pretty much all you do. The other thing I like to do is set up so I know my cell coverage. If you have Verizon, AT&T, whatnot, I have Verizon. So right here, I'm going to click the Verizon, and that actually highlights the general area of where Verizon has the best signal. As you can see along my route here, there's a substantial part that I don't have cell service on, maybe a couple little outlier areas here that don't. But always keep that in mind, folks. So hopefully you found that helpful. Next thing I want to touch base on is securing our dogs and some of the gear that I use. And I want to go over a couple different things. One is when we're out on, I guess, a trail or camping or whatnot, we always want to make sure that we have something in place for locating our dog. And I'll get over that. I use a GPS, not a GPS tag, but I use a Galaxy Smart Tab tracker that goes on the collar. We'll go over that. So this is a flat collar. There's a couple different things. One is I call a flat collar. It's just what it is. It's flat. It's a tag holder. I use these silent tags so that there's no rustling. There's nothing to get caught on. You get them engraved. They're on Amazon or whatnot, but it's a much better design than one that's hanging that can get snagged and ripped off, and then your dog gets found and there's no tag. So these are a lot more secure, a lot better tag. I use this is called Made to Roam. It's a decent collar that I found. It uses a synthetic or fake, what I call fake Cobra buckle. Cobra buckles are a lot more rigid and secure. I will say that sometimes riding in a car, the plastic buckles may be better in case there's an accident. The dog's not going to get, if it does get snagged, it can pull loose on them. But these mini Cobras are really good. This is a flat collar. This should always remain on your dog, period. End of discussion. This has his name, tag, and the information on it. And then this is the tracking device that I use for them. Has come in handy. So this always stays on your dog. Secondarily, you can take and clip on a beacon light where, you know, you just basically, battery's dead on this one. These are from Elite K-9. And then also I have a harness from Elite K-9. This is Waylon's old one. What's nice about these is they make a strap that goes on here. You can put a GoPro, or you can clip on up here. You can actually clip on these lights. That way you can see your dog at night, and it's a much better option. You can also, if you don't want the annoying lights, you can get infrared ones as long as you have IR goggles. But these come in different colors, and it does a solid flash or solid on. And then this is a pretty minimalistic harness. The one thing I like about these is they won't overheat your dog, and it provides a little bit of protection. But I love having the handle. It's an agitation or grab handle, but you can clip the dog in a couple different points. But this is great in case the dog's falling or you need to pick them up or you're hiking. This is a great. This is again Elite K9. I'm not associated with them at all, but they make really good stuff for your dog. So it's a good idea to have these. The second thing I'll show you is these are from Amazon. This is just a cheap illuminated collar that you can throw on. These are really like less than $10. So, you know, different strobes. If you have different dogs, so you can tell which dog it is. So I kind of like those. The other thing you can do is this is called a training tab. Basically, this clips on, and this lets you grab your dog rather than grab them by the collar, which can be hard. This is a good way to correct your dog or to grab them, you know, without having a leash that's getting tangled up. And these are good to have around the house for training as well. So that's called a training tab. The other thing you want to do, this will be This is a little bit different. This is your prong collar. It's a tool. It's not a collar to be worn all the time. It's a training tool. The only reason I'm even showing you this, because a lot of people don't like them. They think they're um, harmful, blah, blah, blah. I've heard all the stories, which are not true. This is good for having with you for two reasons. One, at camp, if you want to do some training, this is good to use and good to have. Secondly, if you're out and you stop somewhere, maybe you have to go into a store or around a lot of people, you want full total control of your dog. You want to prong them up. Okay. Um, Once you get a dog trained on, pressure and release of pressure, uh, this is going to be a good tool to have. I would not leave this on my dog. It's just not a collar to wear all the time. This is not something you use all the time. This is a tool for a specific purpose. So use it as such. Okay. Secondly, as far as leashes go, slip collar, slip lead, in case your dog gets loose or in case you find another dog. These are great because you can throw them around the neck and cinch them and you got the dog. So good to have an extra one of these in your car. And lastly, your normal flat style leash. This is a 4-footer with a ring. What's nice about the ring is you can unclip this to imagine this being on your collar like this, if you will. Now you have a nice what they call like a traffic lead. So it's shortened it up in half. So it's a nice way to control your dog. So he's not wandering all the way out on a 6-footer. The only one that I don't have here, and this is Biothane. Great material. It's like a fake leather, but it's super durable. Has a little bit of bungee to it, but great product. Good for being outdoors and so forth. It doesn't get dirty. Lastly, I don't have one, but a 10-foot or 15-foot long lead if you're going to train at camp. And there's a lot of downtime at camp. It's a great time to get some training in and do some recall with that long lead or whatever else. And then this is my mandatory quality, my standard leash that I use. This is a Learberg. This is a leather 3/4 inch 6-foot. This has got the main attachment, and this is a prong leash. So this basically goes on as prong. This goes on as flat collar, so that if the prong breaks, which they do come off, your dog's still secured. You can also buy these separately and use it. It's called a safety link or a prong link. So that's a really good Amish leather leash. So those are just some of the things that I would recommend that you have. The other thing I would suggest is if you have a Jeep and you're driving with your dogs, don't take the doors off. Don't strap your dogs into the seat belt buckles. Let them be free in case there's an accident, they can get out. But also, you don't want them to get entangled up if you do get in an accident and then they're trapped in the vehicle. A lot of times dogs are pretty good at getting out. So, be cognizant of that. Also be cognizant of the environment that they're in. If you have a small dog, I might suggest using a small kennel in the back seats for traveling, especially on road. Also have, pet wipes. We'll get into the Jeep. I'll show you what I have in there. My kennel system, my cooling system, and some of the other stuff that I have for the dogs. But I just wanted to go over that for you now, and hope that's helpful for you. If you find any of this information helpful, please consider subscribing and maybe sharing it with some of your other off-road groups so maybe they get some information as well. It's a good way to get a knowledge transfer from one perspective to another. So thank you. And then let's move on to the next topic. Okay, hope I got all that. All right, so this is in my Jeep. This is kind of the standard thing I use the pack out for. Spare gear, but it's a nice thing to have the dog stuff in here. And in here I keep, the collapsible bowls, a leader, any of his stuff, lights, collars, extra stuff I always keep in here so it's easily accessible. And then I also have the Dometic water jug. And what I do here is when I fill that up, I use a Camelback water line that plugs in there. And then I have a water spigot here. And this is a USB charged spigot, so I can actually fill their dog bowls with that. So pretty cool. Pretty cool little product. And then work our way into kind of the back seat here. And what I've done is I've removed the seat, and I have goose gear that I made, storage below. But if you notice, the whole back of the Jeep is gated off with kennel material and dividers. And then I also have a attic from oh man, I forget the name of the company. Blue Ridge Overland gear. So it's an attic that keeps a lot of stuff out of the way, like extra clothing and stuff, so the dogs don't get it. And then the other thing I did is I added a fan cooling system here. And that's up on my control panel on the dash. So I can actually shoot AC back in here. I just aim my dash vents to the other side and it shoots back. I also have a door here so I can reach through and get to the dogs, give them drink, give them treats or whatnot. I keep that obviously pinned because Lincoln likes to get up front. And then the other thing I have is a camera, and that camera comes through on my head unit so that I can, while I'm driving, I can keep an eye on the dogs and see what's going on back there. Other than that, the only other thing I do is I have a temperature sensor so I can keep an eye on their temperature as well, and that can send me alerts and so forth. So that's kind of the setup for the dogs, and hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit. Before we move on to the first aid kit, I want to talk about a couple of basics. One is when you're at camp, try to tell people, if you can, to not feed your dog. We don't know what other dogs are, allergic to, or a lot of times some people don't even know what foods are bad to feed dogs. So try to keep your garbage up and secure, because that's a great way for a dog to get sick. The last thing you want is a dog that's pooping or puking all over your tent while you're trying to camp. Let's leave that to the girlfriends that had too many beers. So shout out to my boy Mike, if you know what I'm talking about. The other thing is make sure you have plenty of clean, fresh water. Uh, Dogs' temperature, their body temperature is a lot higher than humans, so they tend to need a little bit more water and exert a little bit more energy. So keep a lot of water around. Also keep your dog food up and out of the way, and keep bugs out of it and so forth. Um, the other thing is make sure that when you're around camp that you just keep things that can affect the dog out of reach. Keep an eye on your dogs. You don't have to leave your dogs out the whole time for them to enjoy it. A lot of dogs prefer to be in a house or in a kennel or something like that because they feel more secure. You don't know what animals are out there. You don't know what people from the previous camp left behind. So just be cognizant of that. Okay. The best way to keep a dog to keep a dog safe is prevention. So, walk your campsite, see what's around there, make sure their dog's not chewing on sticks or eating someone else's food and getting sick. That's just no fun. As far as first aid goes, I carry a small first aid kit that's easily accessible in my passenger seat, and then I have a big trauma kit that has pretty much a little bit of everything in it. The things that are very important to have are tweezers for getting stuck pieces of wood out, or cactuses like we have in the Southwest. Make sure a multi-tool works great tool for cutting things and pulling things out. In your first aid kit, a lot of the things that you're going to have are going to be basic items that you would normally have for yourself. So you want to have, for wound care, you want to have something to clean it. These are just cleanse packs. You want to have non-stick tape or gauze tape. I forget the bandages, I guess. It only sticks to itself. It won't stick to the dog's fur. Medical tape, gauze. A flashlight's good to have too for checking the wound. Once it's clean, make sure you got gloves too. These come in little first aid kits that you can get on Amazon, or there's some other companies that have them. Learberg or Elite K-9. A lot of those have first aid kits. Glove up. The other thing is a tourniquet. It's got to be a dog-specific tourniquet because of the shape of their legs. A human tourniquet, because our arms are pretty linear, the dogs tend to be tapered, so the tourniquets can slide down and then you lose blood. The other item is a quick clot trauma pack. Be careful. There's an ingredient in some of the older clot bags, clymine or something like that. It starts with a K, I believe. But that can cause burns in your dog. So you want to make sure that you have a modern. This one is Adventure Medical Kits. They are good to go. So I have all that in my kit. Make sure your dogs are staying away from, human over-the-counter medicines, stuff like that. If there is an incident, there are some other items out there like I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the sling. There's a dog sling that can go in like your backpack if you're hiking, so that if your dog becomes injured or hurts an extremity, you can actually hoist them up on your shoulder and drag them out. They're about $100, but hey, it's your dog; it's well worth it. The other thing to just to keep in mind is prevention. Keep an eye on your dog. They don't need to be you know out and about all the time, especially when you stop. Be cognizant there's snakes out there and so forth. Also watch when you're driving down a trail. Be careful how high your windows are, because a lot of dogs like to stick their heads out the window and grab branches, but they can grab thorns, right? Or they can have trees slap them and get them in the eye. Um, the other thing is to make sure, watch their eyes, because on gravel roads and so forth, rocks can pop up and hit them in the eye. So if you want to get doggy goggles, I'm not a big fan of, but you know, that's an option as well. So um, that's pretty much all I have. I don't want to get too in depth, but if I missed something, leave it in the comments. Or if there's something that you use or you recommend, leave it in the comments. And then again, share this with your other groups. I run an off-road company or off-road group. We do a lot of events and so forth, but we work with other groups. We do different events, and we kind of run across and cross paths with a lot of different groups. Cross share this content if this is helpful for you. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.